Hi there, how are you doing? In this video, I'm basically going to be showing you how you can pass law school very highly. Now, it doesn't matter which law school you are or any part of the world, provided you do these 12 things, you're really going to pass your law school very well. And I can assure you, should you fail to do these 12 things, then you will definitely not excel. At least that I can assure you, like day follows night. So ladies and gentlemen, my name is Mutiaba Conrad. I'm a lawyer and a private law tutor. I encourage you to subscribe to my channel, also like and share, and ensure that you turn on your notification so that you're able to get any new video that I release. So let's just jump straight into it. We are going to look at 12 things that any law student must do when you are in law school to ensure that you're passing your law school very highly. Now, it's very important to note that it doesn't matter where or at what stage you are you in your first year, second year, third year, or fourth year, provided you do these 12 things, then you'll definitely excel. But however, for that student who is watching this video and maybe you're in your final year, in your second year or third year, well, it's a little bit late, though you can still cause an impact. And I would also encourage you to go on and watch my other video, which is on the channel, to show how a student in their second or third year or fourth year can still highly improve their grades. But here we are looking at a scenario where a student has just joined their first year, either first semester or second semester, or maybe they're in their first semester, second year. What can you do as a person to ensure that you pass highly? So let's jump right into it. The first thing that you should do is avoid any distraction. Please, I emphasize, you must avoid any distraction if you're going to pass law school very highly. This is very, very, very important. You cannot pass law school if you're having so many distractions. For example, if you're working or if you're having other things keeping you busy, I always encourage students to ensure that they avoid any small distraction. A job, a relationship, if it is possible, please avoid it, because any other distraction will definitely affect your grades. Now, of course, there are some exceptions. For example, for students who are self-supporting, you're paying your tuition, you're paying your accommodation, you're paying your feeding, where actually you doing the course or doing law entirely relies on you working, then save for those exceptional circumstances, I encourage a student to avoid working or getting a job when you're studying law. Law is not the type of subject or course that you can do while you are juggling it with something else. It is a full-time job in itself. It's extremely demanding, it's very hectic, it requires a lot of time, so you cannot be doing law while you have your interests or your time shared with something else. So please ensure that you avoid any distractions in law school if you want to have good grades. So if you have a job, if you can do away with it, provided you're being supported by your father or a relative or any person who is paying for you, please ensure that you avoid working, or you avoid any other activity that is likely to distract you from concentrating in law school. So that is rule number one. Avoid all distractions that are likely to take your time and attention away from giving time to law and your study. Rule number two, please get a mentor. I cannot overemphasize the success you will get from getting a mentor. Please get a mentor. I'm emphasizing this. Please get a mentor. This is very, very important. Now, what role does a mentor really serve? A mentor will help you to avoid the mistakes that the mentor himself or herself actually went through while they were in law school. So basically, you will be taking certain courses of actions and you're not making errors. Or if you're making errors, there are minimal errors that you're making. That's what the mentor will help you. The mentor will guide you. They will inspire you. They will motivate you. They'll show you the proper path you should take. And as so doing, you will end up avoiding mistakes that the mentor himself passed through. Now, this is where our program comes in, and we always encourage students to ensure that you contact us so that we get you an expert who is able to mentor you and tutor you through law school. And as we have always said, if you want to contact us on that, you can find our contact down in the prescription box. You can call us and then we can make an arrangement to get you a tutor, a mentor, someone who will be able to guide you through law school. Then the other importance really of a mentor is that that mentor will be able to show you the do's and don'ts in law school. Now, I always encourage students to ensure that you get a mentor who is better than you, someone who is above you. If you can, and if it's possible for you and you can afford it, please, I encourage you to go on and get any lawyer to mentor you. But in the event that you cannot, you can also get a fellow student, maybe someone who is in a higher year. If you're in your year one, someone in year four. If you're in your year two, maybe someone in year four. It should be someone who is higher than you so that they're able to guide you on the mistakes that you shouldn't be making. So please ensure that a mentor is someone who is above you or someone who has passed through the same experiences that you are now going through. And as you realize in law school, the reason why we actually read cases and case law, it's because we are trying to see the mistakes that were made many years ago and trying to avoid them when we are adjudicating matters. So we are trying to see, when we are reading cases, what were some of those mistakes made? Or how were things properly applied? How were legal principles properly applied? And how can we apply them today? So that's the purpose why we read case law. Equally, the mentor will help you to show you where things may have gone wrong or where things will go wrong if you don't do things a certain way. So they are more of people who will guide you to make your journey shorter at the same good quality. So it's very, very important that you get a mentor. And I encourage you, if you're listening in, to ensure that you get onto our expert program, our tutoring program, so that we're able to tutor you, to guide you, to ensure that we give you a jump start into your law school. Our contacts are down in the description box. Let's now go on rule number 3. Learn how to go about with the law library. Now, this is very, very important. You cannot be able to do good research if you do not have the necessary reading materials. So you need to know how to use the law library. It's important to know, how do I find a law report? Where do I find the red volumes, the blue volumes? If I'm looking for a dictionary of law, where do I find it? Please also learn how to use online law resources. Most of the libraries in your law school must be having the online facilities where you can find textbooks of all forms and soft copy. So please ensure that you approach a library guide so that they're able to guide you how to use the law library, how to access materials, how to access books, and this will help you to make your law research way easier. Then rule number 4, have a serious discussion group. Now, this is very, very important, because if you have a discussion group, your fellow colleagues will help to guide you as well. They'll also help to mentor you. They'll correct you where you go wrong. And law is not a course unit which you can really sit down and read on your own. You must have your colleagues so that you're able to correct yourselves, so that you're able to improve yourselves, so that you're able to guide yourselves, so that you're able to discuss among others. And the other importance really of a discussion group is that it will encourage you to do more research and to read, because every time you read in a group, you go further. Every time you read alone, you're more likely to lose morale. And of course, you don't want to lose morale when you're in law school. The other rule that is really very important is prepare early enough. Guys, I cannot overemphasize the importance of early preparations. Actually, your success in law school really depends on how early you prepare. Why is this important? This is important because law school has so much to read and it's very, very wide. So if you do not prepare early, every time you're on semester or every time you're going into your exams, you'll always be doing last minute touches, and of course you'll end up leaving out most of the things, and that will directly show in your exam. It will also be reflected in your grades. So I encourage students to always do early preparations. Do not wait. I emphasize, do not wait for the semester to start for you to start your research, for you to start reading. Bright students, students who excel highly, will actually do research even during holidays. Law is a full-time job. It's not something you're going to do as a part-time. You cannot. It requires a lot of commitment. It requires a lot of hard work. It is stress. It requires a lot of commitment. And the moment you're working hard, the moment you're putting in the time, then definitely you will find it easy. Every time you're finding law school hard, then just know that there's something you're not doing right. You're not preparing early. So please make sure you use your holidays to read, use your holidays to research for the next semester. And again, this is where our mentorship program, this is where our tutorial program comes in. During your holiday, please ensure that you contact us so that we are able to tutor you, we are able to mentor you, we are able to bring you in legal shape so that by the time the semester is starting, you are ready. You're just doing semester final touches. So please use the holiday to ensure that you do research, to ensure that you read, to ensure that you consult your mentor, to ensure that you're making notes. You do all this in the holiday. You do not wait for the semester to start for you to start preparation. However, it's also very important to also have enough rest. Rest is really very important, and your health and the state of your body really matters. So please make sure that even when you're reading in the holidays, but spare off some time to have at least 8 hours of sleep so that your body is able to rest and regenerate. This is very important. Let's now proceed to look at the other point, which is point number 6. Read the law first from primary sources. This is extremely important, and this mistake many students make. They are always reading handouts. This is not right. You will have summary knowledge because handouts are summarized, and therefore you will not have a deep understanding of the law. So please ensure that you always read from primary sources. Now, when we talk of primary sources, what do we mean? Please read the law from the Constitution. Please read the law from Acts of Parliament. Please read the law from decided cases. These are what we call primary sources of law, including statutory instruments, among others. Read acts first before you can even go on to read secondary sources. For example, textbooks. Textbooks are really good. I encourage you to read them. But please note that textbooks really state the law as it is in cases and acts of parliament and the constitution of the country. So instead of going to a textbook, you rather first read from the primary source, which is an act of parliament or a decided case, which actually helps to explain a certain section of the act, and then later on you can go on to do your comprehensive research by reading textbooks. So primary sources, please always refer to primary sources. This will help to even teach you how sections are interpreted, and it will also give you a better, deep understanding of these acts and how to read and interpret the sections of the law. The other point, the other rule that you should really follow for you to be able to pass law school very highly is please ensure that you make summarized personal notes. Very, very important. You must have summarized personal notes, and when you're doing this, please ensure that you're following your university reading list, because your university reading list is a guide to help you do personal revision. So make sure that you follow it so that you're not off. Always ensure you're following the university reading list. Summarized notes really help, and they just don't help you just in law school, but you'll also need them in practice, because law is a very practical subject. So whatever you study in law school is squarely applicable even in practice. So you want to make notes. But here the catchword is summarize notes. Do not make your notes too detailed. Do not make your notes too detailed. I emphasize this, it's important, because if you make your notes very detailed, then you will find it, one, hard to read them, but also secondly, it will not give you an opportunity to concentrate on what actually matters most. So it's important that you keep your notes summarized, but also with some little detail. So do not be so wordy in your notes. Ensure that your notes have cases and they have the relevant holdings, and do not write very detailed facts in your notes of some cases. So keep the notes summarized, and then that will definitely help you to even find the revision easier, so that you're able to go through them very fast, a week or 2 weeks or a few days to your exams. And also very important to note that keep these notes, because you will need them in the next year and you'll need them in the other year. So ensure that you keep your notes at all material times. Ensure that you have these notes, because you'll always need them at whatever stage of your academic career on which or to which you progress. Let's now go on to look at point number 8, which is maximize high scores in your coursework. This is very important. Ensure that when courseworks are out or your coursework research, ensure that you maximize, do enough research, do enough investment, invest in understanding the question, invest in consulting. And again, this is where your mentor becomes important. He'll be able to guide you. He'll be able to show you which areas of the law you should look at. And you, together with him or her, you'll be able to discuss what are the possible approaches and how can this question be viewed. And of course, he or she will also be able to guide you on how you should really approach it, how you should view it, and what are the areas of law or decided cases that you should really look at to make a comprehensive analysis of your research paper or your coursework. Students that normally get high coursework marks, it has been proven that most of them will always perform very well in their exams. Whereas it's still possible for you to have low coursework marks but still excel in your exam, but normally you'll always find it hard. So ensure that you start the struggle for a good grade early enough by investing enough time and research and consultation to do your coursework. The other important point that you must do for you to be able to excel and pass law school very highly is to make small personalized notes when your lecturer is teaching. This is extremely important. Now, every time your lecturer or your professor is teaching in law school, normally they will emphasize those areas which they want you to read more, those areas that matter the most. So ensure that you're writing small notes every time your professor or your lecturer is teaching. Those notes, you will then use them when you're reading to put more emphasis on those areas that your lecturer or your professor may have pointed out during a lecture. And normally, lecturers or professors will set things that they have taught in class. It's not very common that a professor or a lecturer will teach, or rather will set an exam area which they didn't teach. Or even if they didn't teach it, but at least in class, they may have referred you to a certain topic or a certain area, and maybe they told you to go and do personal research. So it's very important to always follow your lecturer when they are teaching, so that you're able to identify which areas you are able to concentrate on more. This is extremely important. Let's now proceed and look at point number 10. Rule number 10. Have a personal academic relationship with your lecturer. Now, this is also important. Please do not just attend classes for formality. Ensure that you participate in those classes. Ensure that you ask questions that you didn't understand in your private research to the lecturer. Now, this will help you to create a personal relationship. Ensure that you consult them. Ensure that you send them an email in the appropriate time to consult something that you didn't understand. Now, these continued consultations, of course, will help to build that academic relationship. And of course, lecturers or professors will only be able to help students who reach out to them to seek knowledge, to seek guidance, and to seek mentorship. So that relationship really matters, and it will also help you to improve your grades and perform very well. The other important aspect is, please always finish all your law. But before we even go to that, okay, the other that you should note, which is point 11, is to go through past exam papers. Now, this is very, very important. Towards your exams, a few weeks to your exams, please ensure that you go through these exam past papers, because you will realize that most of the questions that are set in your exams have actually been set in the previous 3, 4, or 5 years. The setting style might change, okay, or the words may change, or the question could totally change. Of course, most of the times the questions are not the same, but it helps you to analyze and understand how your lecturer is really thinking. It helps you understand what the examiner, which areas and a certain course unit they are mostly interested in. Normally, lecturers will set the same things, but for you to be able to know which areas are of interest and which areas they are more likely to set on again, you need to go and look at past paper questions so that you establish a certain connection. Okay, there is a connection normally in the questions or the areas that they set. This does not mean that you should do spotting. I can assure you, you'll be outspotted. Do not spot. It's called zeroing down. You read widely, and then towards your exam, you zero down on certain areas. That's different from spotting. Spotting is where a student, out of 10 topics, they go and read 4 or 5, and then they enter an exam. That is spotting. When you're outspotted, you will fail your exam. But then zeroing down on a certain area, here you read all the 10 topics, but then you choose to concentrate mostly on 6 or 4 or 5, so that even if those 5 are not set, you still have sufficient knowledge to answer the other 4, which you didn't zero down on because you had previously read them anyway. Then lastly, after you have revised those past papers and you have done all the previous 11 things that I just talked about earlier, you can still fail your exam or not succeed if you don't do the last thing. Which last thing is it? Always ensure, this is point number 12, always ensure that you finish all your exam questions. The greatest mistake you'll ever make in law school is to enter an exam and then you fail to answer all the questions as required. So if the exam guidelines are saying you should answer 3 questions, please ensure that you answer all 3, not 2, not 2.5. Every time we are marking, we always see your exams. You find a student who has answered 2 questions and left out 1. There's nothing that your lecturer can do to help you because 1 question is unanswered. Instead of you leaving a whole question unanswered, you rather do at least 70%. That's if your time bad. You rather do at least 75% of each question rather than doing 100% of 2 questions and leaving out the 3rd one completely. Let me repeat this. If your time bad, you rather do 75% of each of the 3 questions and you finish them than you doing 100% of all the other 2 questions. You will find it hard to get a high grade if you leave out a number and done. So please ensure that you always do all the questions and complete them well. Those 12 tricks, ladies and gentlemen, those 12 rules will help you. Those 12 guidelines, follow them to the dot and you'll be able to succeed and pass very, very highly. Ignore them and I can assure you, like death follows night, that you will not excel in your law school. So ladies and gentlemen, that's all for today. Once again, my name is Mutiawa Conrad. I'm a lawyer and a private law tutor, and I encourage you to subscribe, like, and share my channel. And then also students interested in private tutorial sessions concerning law, please feel free to contact us. We can always make a program for you and put you on our mentorship tutorial law program. And our numbers can be found down in the description box. And do not forget to like and share. Thank you very much. We meet again. Bye-bye.